We want to thank our outstanding sponsor, Touring & Cruises Travel. It's the same team as Touring Plans Travel, but with a new name. Their travel advisors will take care of your Disney or other travel destination needs. Make sure you tell them Rope Drop Radio sent you. Now, on to the show.
Helping you navigate the Disney parks.
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
You're listening to Rope Drop Radio.
Welcome to another Rope Drop Radio. Derek and Doug talking all things Disney, but today there is no Doug. He actually had a family emergency that he had to get to, so it's me. But don't worry, it's not me by myself. I have a special guest coming on here in a second. We are going to be talking about using the Lightning Lane MultiPass today, and our guest has just done that, so it's going to be a fun episode. But first, we need to give a shout out to our Patreons. No new Patreons this week, but thank you to all of our Patreons who have supported the show and joined, getting the bonus episodes and after shows and some fun things. And I got a trip coming up in less than 2 months, so we're gonna have some good bonus audio there in the Zooms. So thank you so much, Patreons. And don't worry, guys, even though that Doug is not here, I'm still going to read the reviews. The first one is from April 2nd, Amanda 3511. She says, favorite podcast. This is my favorite Disney podcast, informative, entertaining, and fun to listen to. Thanks for all the time and planning you all put into your episodes each week. Always look forward to new episodes. Thank you, Amanda. And then Russell from Nebraska, bonus points because he's from Nebraska. Great show. He says, my family loves Disneyland and the podcast has been very helpful in planning trips and enhancing family fun. Thank you, Russell and Amanda. Also, thank you for this week having easy names for me to do. We'll go back to the more challenging names on the reviews next week for Doug. And please keep leaving those 5-star reviews. They help get the show seen a lot more. And we're getting closer and closer to 600, I believe, and would love to hit that before the end of the year. 700, I apologize. Help us get to 700 by the end of the year. That is our goal. So just jumping into this week's episode, we are welcome back with Alex of Second Dad to the Right. He joined us on episode 385 if you want to hear more from him, but he recently returned from a trip to Walt Disney World in which he used the Lightning Lane MultiPass. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome back to Rope Drop Radio, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for filling in for Doug last minute. So you're my new better half at the moment.
Okay.
No pressure at all.
All right.
So this was your first trip using the new and improved Lightning Lane system. So what is your experience like leading up to this visit?
It was just an adult trip, so that made it easier to navigate.
Oh, that makes it a lot easier.
So we were kind of lazy about it. Our first day we did the night before, and then we did the next 3 days. So we did finally do one 3 days out. We also went to Disneyland a month and a half ago. And I'll have to say this, the Disneyland's experience is much better when it comes to it. But it wasn't bad. I mean, it was very similar to Fast Pass. And again, like I said, we were lazy about it. So we probably didn't do it as optimized as you could. We actually ended up using more individual lightning lanes than we did multi-lightning lanes. So where do you want me to start? You want me to just say what we did?
Well, yeah, let's choose what attractions did you book out and why did you do those?
Okay, so our first day we did Hollywood Studios, and the way it works is obviously the premium rides, they cost money, and then they have tier 1 rides for MultiPass, and you can choose one of those ahead of time. And we were staying off-site, so we could have only booked 3 days in advance anyway, but if you're staying on-site, you get to book 7 days in advance. And so by the time we were looking, it was only about 24 hours out, and I tried to book Slinky Dog, and there was availability, but it was right in the middle of our dinner reservation. And so instead, I think we picked Toy Story Mania. Is that the tier 1 one? Either Toy Story Mania or Millennium Falcon. And so we did Toy Story Mania, Millennium Falcon, and Tower of Terror. I was surprised. The Tower of Terror, I think, is a pretty awesome ride. So I'm surprised that it was not a tier 1 ride. So it was pretty easy to get. And so we got them. They were all, sadly, in the afternoon. By the time you book 24 hours out, it was like our earliest one was like 2 o'clock. And then we went through like 4 or 5 o'clock. And since we didn't get Slinky Dog, we stood in the queue. It got rained out. Then we stood in the queue again and got to ride it. But it's the last week of August that we went. And So the crowds weren't bad at all. In fact, we had Animal Kingdom the day before, and we didn't even bother to use any lighting lanes or multi-pass or anything, because all we want to do there is Flight of Passage and Expedition Everest. And I looked at the wait time, and wait time was 15 minutes for Expedition Everest. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Oh, that's a win all day.
Yeah, so we used it at Hollywood Studios, and then we tried to book the other ones. What ended up happening is we only used the multi-pass on the Hollywood Studios day, because we looked at Magic Kingdom, and all the rides we really, really wanted to get on with Magic Kingdom were individual lighting lanes. So we bought Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and we bought Tron, and then we got a virtual queue for
Tiana's.
Tiana's. And so, that's kind of an interesting thing too. So be ready for Tiana's. I mean, this was 2 days out, and every last individual lighting lane for Tiana's was sold out.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, but we did manage to get in the virtual queue, and we were group 22. Guess what time we got on the ride?
Probably, yeah, I bet it's later in the day. I bet it broke down and you got on
3
late.
o'clock.
Oh,
3
yep. There you go. Rise of the Resistance, you get 22. It's still early in the morning, first couple hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, it broke down a ton, and which actually worked out really well for us, because we did the Keys of the Kingdom tour that morning.
Oh, I love that tour. You know what? We'll talk a little bit more about that tour on Patreon. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There you go.
So,
Sounds good.
so we just used it, and of course the individual lighting lanes. I guess it was because the crowds were only $11 a piece, and again there was only two of us, so I felt like that was reasonable to jump to the front of Seven Dwarfs and jump to the front of Tron. So,
I agree with that one. When you bring the whole family, those numbers
yeah.
start adding up, though.
And then for Epcot, we only wanted to do Guardians, so we got the individual lighting lane for Guardians, and we got the virtual queue for Guardians, and just did as much Guardians as we could, because
I love
we
it.
love
Did
that.
you? So did you use the new lightning lane system for any other day besides Hollywood Studios?
No, we just used it. We tried to, and it was just the problem with Epcot being the last day is that there's so much demand for pretty much every ride. I feel like
Yep.
there's not, because in Magic Kingdom you have so many rides, and there's just there's so much availability, just because there's like 30 rides. But at Epcot, there's only two rides that I would say, like only Nemo and maybe Figment, that are like always walk-ons,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else is usually a pretty decent crowd. And so there's not like little Dumbo type rides in Epcot, and so you really got to get on there early for Ratatouille and Frozen, and Test Track when it reopens, and that kind of stuff.
So with you staying off site and getting the not as soon booking window, the 3 days, did you feel like you could still make good choices, or do you feel like staying on site does give you that better shot of getting the rides you want?
I would say staying on site is, especially if you've got a full family, is almost mandatory to get the most out of it. Because like I said, like even 3 days out, I was still getting only afternoon times
Mm-hmm.
for rides. And so I'm assuming that means that 7 days you're getting those morning rides, which means, and if everybody knows how it works, like it's not like GD Plus where you can wait 2 hours and book another one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these three rides, and it's just like the old Fast Pass system where you use one and then you can get another one. And so if you can get a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, you can do three rides, and then you can get three more rides and just keep on going. Maybe get, 6 or 9 rides out of your multi-pass. And so for us, only getting three rides, it didn't feel terrible, because it was like, I mean, I think it was only like $15 for the Hollywood Studios day. And so I didn't feel bad to get $5 a ride to skip all the, because, it's August,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hot.
You didn't do the multi-park, you just did the Hollywood Studios one?
Yeah, we only did a multi-pass for the Hollywood Studios day, and then we did individual lightning lands for all 3 days.
Did you ever look on the app to see like what the other
Yeah, that's why
parks
we
were
did.
looking like? Okay.
Yeah, that's why we did, because that's the great thing about this new system, is that you can see what's available before you pay for it.
Mm-hmm. I
And
love
so,
that.
Genie Plus, you pay for it, then you're like, and then maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But this was like, these are the ride options, these are the times that are available. And you can, if you're diligent, book your rides and then fight for earlier times as people start to, readjust their schedules. But we're just like, all these rides are after 2 or 3 o'clock. It's just not worth it, the money to do this. We'll just walk around and eat all the stuff at the Food and Wine Festival, and then of course we had the big tour at Magic Kingdom.
Did you look on the app and see kind of what parks were selling out rides the quickest?
I would definitely say, I mean, just based on what we were looking at, obviously Tiana's selling out the fastest.
Yeah.
Everything, all the other individual lightning lanes had decent, like I could have gotten a 2 o'clock, and then you look again, I could have gotten a 5 o'clock if I didn't book. Rise of the Resistance, I could have booked almost till close. I could have
Yep,
found a
I've seen
spot.
that lately. It's no
Yeah,
longer the run and gun as it used to be.
right. And Star Tours and Millennium Falcon also had plenty of availability
What
all night.
shocking.
But Slinky Dog, I mean, they should probably. I hate to say this, that's ridiculous to say, but they could almost switch Slinky Dog and Rise of the Resistance as far as the demand.
Well, Slinky Dog helps pull that the buying of the Lightning Lane system because
Yeah,
especially 7 days out staying on property, you want that ride done. That makes it essential.
and for anyone who's ridden it before, like being able to skip the line on Slinky Dog,
It's
regardless
a
of how
hot
much
line.
you like it, it is the most miserable line, except for
Yep.
maybe like the outside portion of Runaway Railway. But um, yeah, so it's blistering. But they get those fans running. It was surprisingly cooler in the afternoons once it had your 3 o'clock storm. It never got much over 80 for the rest of the day, even though it was late August.
Okay.
So,
So what were some of the best features that you like of this new system compared to the old system?
well, I'll compare it to the old system and then the Fast Pass system. The Genie Plus system, I like that you can book some ahead of time. I
Hmm.
hated being buried in my phone. Now you can still bury yourself in your phone if you're, booking early rides and then trying to get better times the whole time. Um, but the fact that I didn't have to set alarms, I could just
Love it.
get the rides, and then I like it a little bit better than Fast Pass because Fast Pass was so long before. Was it 30 and 60 days?
Yep.
That you're not even thinking in vacation mode. You could bury yourself in your phone for 60 days straight trying to get Peter Pan or whatever.
Oh no, what I
Um,
loved is I'd book it and then I'd forget what I booked, and it's like the day before I'm back on the app trying to figure. Oh yeah, I have to go there at 9:45.
yeah, and then sprint from Frontierland to
Yep.
Tomorrowland.
Why did I book these? Yes.
But
Like what? My ADR's on the other side of the park.
and the Fast Pass system, like that was when we first got into Disney, like back in like 2017, and so we had no idea what we were doing, and we
Oh,
were
you
like,
missed the paper fast pass. Come on, there's
yeah,
even a thing before then.
yeah,
Any other features? It sounds great. I mean, I
yeah.
like the idea of being able to book ahead of time, get
Mhm.
an idea of where, especially if you have ADRs. Did you have any ADRs so you knew you wanted
Yeah, we
to?
had lots of those. That's what because it was just two adults, so
Yep.
what we really cared about was dining.
Makes sense. In
So
fact, we'll
yeah,
talk a little bit about your dining, but
yeah,
like the thing that I like, and I don't know if you saw, it's like, hey, I know we have this ADR booked. I want to make sure I have a ride near that ADR for an hour
right.
before, like the hour after.
And we had some stuff outside the park that we really wanted to try, like we did Citrico's,
Oh,
and we
nice.
wanted to see the drone show, and so we were scheduling around all of that, trying to get out to those places. So yeah, and we're staying off site, and there was stuff to check out at the resort we were at too. So
Well, before we get to some of your dining, because I want to hear that, is there any room for improvement, things that they could fix before Derek gets there in 40
hmm.
days?
Yeah, room for improvement. Obviously, it could be free.
Oh, that's not happening. That isn't even in Disney's vocabulary. I'm surprised the Skyliner is technically free. Then, you're starting to get on there and make you charge for that, I bet.
Yeah, eventually. You have to get a bus pass.
Yep.
You only get 10 rides. Then you got to start paying.
Skyliner pass, just ding to get in. No, don't give them ideas.
Yeah.
I should edit
I've
that
heard
out, but
I've
I'm
heard a
not.
few people have had some issues with like they'll go in and be about to book a time and then right when they hit confirm the time will change.
I've heard that. Yep.
Struggle with that a little bit. Um I think I'm not exactly sure what I would tweak other than it seems pretty simple. I mean to get on there and use. I didn't hate it. Uh obviously I wish I was staying on site so I could have really seen what it can do. I've heard, I don't know if they fixed this yet. If you're not in the U.S., you can't book anything.
Hmm.
Um, so I hope they get that figured out so everyone doesn't have to try to use a VPN. I'll be interested to see as they open up all these new rides they're promising how all of
How
it
that affects
shifts.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at Magic Kingdom, it may be a big help because then all of a sudden there's five
I mean,
more rides.
someday Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is not going to cost money. I don't know when that day is going to be, but someday it's got to go
It really is a
in the
great
right
ride,
direction. It is a
though. I mean,
great ride, but I mean,
yeah,
I got to guarantee they have made the money back on individual lightning lanes for that ride.
yeah, they could build it
Yeah.
again.
Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. It takes 10 years roughly of individual lightning lanes to pay for a ride nowadays. They want to milk it for as much as they can. Pass the cost on to us.
All right, so I'll give you one. I think returning the 2 hour
Okay.
system would be great for people like me who couldn't get any morning ones.
Okay.
So
I
if I
like
could
that.
have booked an extra one, at 11 o'clock after the park opened, that would have been a nice incentive for getting stuck with all afternoon times. Yeah, I think having a few more incentives like that. I wish you could get more than one tier one ride, but that's probably not going to change because
Yeah.
that's the point. They're trying to spread out the crowd
Yep.
everywhere. Um, but yeah,
And with Hollywood Studios, there's just not enough rides for the amount of people coming in there.
right. Yeah, interested to see how many more rides we get with the Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
area.
we still got years, my friend, years and
Yes,
years to go. They don't even know where they're going to put that thing.
yeah.
So it will
They're
be
waiting to
interesting.
see how many people sign the
This
petitions.
whole system's going to change like 2 or 3 times before we get that ride. That's for sure. It's going to be Fast Lightning Plus Lane MultiPass 2.0 next time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure they're going to keep tweaking this thing for a few years to come, but I'm going to use it. We're about 38 days, I think, when this show comes out, where I will be down at the Magic Kingdom trying it out. So I'm excited. I'm glad you tested it for me.
Wait, when are you going to be down there?
October 11th.
Yeah, we'll be there the 9th through the 14th.
Hey, we'll have to run into you guys. Yes, we're
Yeah.
doing 2 days before our cruise, and now I'm going to look up the exact days because 12, 13, we get on the cruise on the 14th. So 12, 13, something like that. October 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that window. We'll be there.
Yeah, I think we're doing the Halloween party on the 10th, and then we haven't planned out the rest of it yet.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely, yeah, that's good to know. We will definitely meet up. Are you guys staying off site or on site?
Yeah, we're staying at the Hyatt Grand Cypress in Disney Springs area
Okay.
because I've
We're
been
staying at
doing lots of
Saratoga.
travel hacking, so getting
Oh, I
free.
like it.
Yeah,
So,
you stay at
since
where?
it's Saratoga Springs.
Oh, nice.
So finally, this is my year because I'm turning 40 this trip. But this year, I am knocking off some of these resorts I have not stayed at. So Saratoga Springs, knocking off. Grand Floridian, knocking off. Got a quote in for Bay Lake Tower, might knock
Ooh,
that one off. So I'm trying to check some of the final resorts off the list.
cool. Yeah, I'll be
Yep,
40 in May. We're looking to go to Europe, but we also splurged on annual passes for the first year, so
worth
try to
it.
be there as much
That
as
that's just
possible.
part of my taxes, annual passes now.
Yeah,
Once
that's
you
all
start,
right.
you can't stop. I'm just letting you know, all of our listeners, once you start buying that AP, you're not going to stop. So, adults only, we have a few minutes that I want to hear what dining you chose because that's always fun when it's no kids. You can go a little bit more signature. What did you pick this last trip?
So we first big meal we did Morimoto's over in Disney Springs because we love
Nice.
Asian food. They've got this I can't remember what it's called, uh, Burry Bop thing where basically they give you this hot bowl and they cook fish in front of you in the bowl. It's like a rice bowl. It's really cool. And the whole time the chef that was cooking it was telling us the story of how Morimoto invented it, and so that was interesting, and how he won Iron Chef because of it or whatever. And so then we went from there over to the drone show, and so that
Love
was
it.
really cool to see because I think they stopped it last night. Yeah, um, and hopefully they'll do something new, but I haven't heard
Just bring
anything.
back the drone show. That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
or put it somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with the drone show is that if you weren't dead on, sometimes you couldn't tell what the drones were doing.
Oh, I had to go 3 times. So the
Yeah,
first time was such a big swing and a miss for me that I went back 2 more times.
yeah.
So where else did you eat?
So then we went the next night. Well, so I guess Wednesday did as part of the Keys of the Kingdom tour, we ate at Harbor House, Columbia Harbor House. And then the next night we went to Citrico's because people were like, well, that's our favorite restaurant. Because last time I said, what's everybody's favorite restaurant? They said Steakhouse 71. So we ate that one last time we had a date night. And this time we went to Citrico's. And it was awesome. It's Mary Poppin 2 themed,
Okay.
which I didn't know until I went in there.
I've
Uh,
never been to that one. It's on my list.
so, and I guess they must have updated it to that since the movie's only like, what, 5 years old.
Yep.
But we had an awesome steak, awesome. It's like real fancy presentation, very much. I think it's like Victoria and Albert's light because
There you go.
they share a bathroom.
Okay.
Open chef. You see them plating everything. They got a separate pastry section, so real fancy place. And then so Epcot, we went to Shiki Sai for lunch. Which is the sushi place.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you see the theme. We like
Yep.
the Asian food. We actually don't like the food and wine much because like the food is really good, but I can't handle, especially in August, standing in a 20-person line for one bite.
Yeah, I get that.
And then
This is one of we used to go every Labor Day weekend. And I was looking back through the videos over this last Labor Day, and it's just me dripping sweat.
that's funny. This is actually the second year in a row we accidentally went to Epcot on the first day of Food and Wine.
I've done that
So,
before as well. It
so
gets crazy.
I ran into Tim Tracker
Oh,
and
yep.
saw, I mean, probably 50 other influencers. Everybody has their little
Selfie
sticks that look
stick.
like
Yeah.
selfie sticks, but they're actually cameras. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is because I don't do video. But so we didn't do much food and wine. I did sneak a metal fork into the park, which set off the
Oh,
alarms, but they didn't find it.
that's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, and I was going to use
Could have
that
been a
because
weapon.
I trying to eat like pork belly with a plastic fork. It's just
Well, Doug ends up biting off part of the fork and eating it. So that's true story. That happened. I was
awesome.
there. I watched it.
At least it wasn't a metal fork.
Yep.
Yeah.
So any other signature restaurant did you hit up while you're there?
So we went to, it's not a restaurant, but we went to Jelly Rolls the first night.
Always fun. Good
Yeah,
place.
that was really cool. And it's my mom is a choir director at a church, and a kid that was like one of her soloists now plays there, and
Oh,
so it was
that's
cool to
awesome.
run into him. So if you see Wyatt, know that he he cut his chops in church.
Love it.
But and then we ate a couple times at the hotel we were at, but I don't. There's nothing special about. Yeah, so Citrico's, Shikisai, and Morimoto were our big ones.
Nice. Always good to splurge a little bit when you do that date night out there. So
And I think it ends up being cheaper anyway.
it really does.
Yeah.
You know what? I know I'm never going to take my kids to Citrico's. They can pay for themselves if we ever go.
Right. Yeah. My
Someday I'll
kids
have
would
to.
eat anything except for the kids menu anyway.
We're staying at the Grand Floridian in spring break, and part of me is like, how do I get my wife there? And what do we do with the kids? So that is in the back of my head right now. So if anyone's there during spring break and want to hang out with my kids while we go, well, actually, I'd love to go to Victoria and Albert's, but one of the nice restaurants at the Grand Flow, let me know.
Yeah.
Also, I looked it up. I will be in the Magic Kingdom on the 15th of October. So we have Hollywood Studios, Epcot on the 14th. 15th is Magic Kingdom.
We'll miss you by one day. We're flying out the 14th.
Okay. It was in my brain. I couldn't think of the exact date, so I had to look it up. Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, we tried. Maybe I should just sneak out early. No, I got coach football. So there you go. That is kind of everything. We did the lightning round with you the last time, but overall, a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank the improved lightning lane system?
I like it a lot better. So scale of 1 to wait, what's 10? Is 10 fast pass?
10 is like, this is great. I'm glad they switched it.
Well, I'll say a 7. I'm glad they
Okay.
switched it. I think there's room for improvement, and obviously it does tack on a lot of price. And if I'm not staying on site, that's a problem. But again, that makes sense for them to incentivize making money on the lodging too. So I get it.
There you go.
So,
Yeah, really a key to stay on property now, and I can't wait for us to try that out. Going to the Magic Kingdom, making sure that 7-day window could be so key to get the attractions that you want to do.
I could probably give it a 9 if I hadn't have done Disneyland before I did Disney World.
Oh yeah,
So
that can happen.
I guess for your listeners that don't know, like Disneyland, nobody gets any lightning lanes until the park opens.
Opens. Yep.
And so we rope dropped the Guardians ride there, and then immediately got a lightning lane for it 30 minutes later. And then basically bounced around to every single major attraction. Um, so that was, it was a great, and I get why they do it because they have a lot more pass holders coming than
Yep.
people like us.
A lot more locals living in
Yeah.
California than people in Florida going to the park. So, well, why don't you take a minute and let everyone know where they can find you?
All right, so I write a blog mostly called Second Dad to the Right. And so it's seconddadtothe.right.com. And I'm on Facebook where I, share some helpful things that usually point back to the blog, or I share ridiculous memes, either one. And then I'm on Instagram at Second Dad to the Right and on Pinterest at Second Dad to the Right. And
Awesome.
then I'm in the parks as much as possible.
I love one. You're missing me by one day, so I'm bummed. And yeah, we did
Yeah.
the lightning round on episode 385, so be sure to go check that out if you haven't. But yeah, it's a great blog. I love it, and hopefully one day we can meet up with you. Maybe, hey, you should go. We do have our next trip. Doug and I, we're doing. Well, he's doing the run in April. You want to come down for the run? You don't have to run. You can hang out with me.
Uh, sure. Yeah.
All right,
I
there
mean,
you
I didn't
go.
sign up for the run, so I probably won't do the run.
Yeah,
I'd
you
do it
missed
if
that
I
part.
signed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, darn, it filled up. Oh, so but yeah, I'm shocked. We have a lot more listeners and Patreons than I imagined because I was going through. I'm like, holy crud, we do have a lot of people. So it'll be a good time. So guys, if you want to hang out with Doug and I, Doug's gonna run with a bunch of our listeners. I'm gonna hang out with the others, and hopefully Alex. And so yeah, you're gonna have to book that up. And then if you want to book any trip to Disney World, Disneyland, a Disney cruise, or an all inclusive, or you want to go to Vegas, who knows? Touring and Cruises is in our show notes. They're amazing. Travel agents can help you have an amazing vacation, and love using them for all of our trip booking. And yeah, be sure to leave a review for us. And then if you want to listen to the after show, we're going to talk about Keys to the Kingdom with Alex. And that is an incredible tour if you've never done it. And but if you want that show, you're gonna have to go into our Patreon. Of course, it's in the show notes, and support the show that way. But that is all the time that we have. We'll try to get Doug on an after show or bonus show sometime this week, and then he'll be back next week. Hopefully, both of us are back next week, and we can stop, having issues where we miss shows. So for Alex, I'm Derek. You've been listening to Rope Drop Radio.